Hey, what's going on? I'm Doug Cunnington, and this is the Doug Show. In this episode, we're going to talk to Tipsy, and we talked to Tipsy back in episode 295. She plays games over on Twitch, so that was something a little bit different for me. And if you didn't listen to that episode, you should go back and check it out. This episode will be a bit of an update. We'll hear about the marathon that she ran while she was gaming. So I checked in while she was actually doing this live. It was pretty fun, and we're going to hear what went well, what didn't go well, and some of the surprises along the way. This episode is brought to you in part by Ezoic and their Leap product, which helps your site load faster and helps you score green for core web vitals. So thanks to Ezoic, I wanted to get that ad out of the way. And one cool thing with Ezoic right now is there's no page view minimum. So you're able to start using Ezoic to monetize right away and start integrating and using tools like Leap. So without further ado, let's bring Tipsy on here. How's it going today?
It's going great. Thanks for having me back.
You are welcome, and I'm excited to hear how this whole thing went. It's been a few weeks now. So how did the
hmm
marathon go?
Overall, it was an incredible success from the community as a whole, and I feel like me personally, it was pretty remarkable. Not that what I did, but just
Right.
just I didn't pass out. I had a
Right.
pretty good recovery. We blew my initial fundraising goal out of the water. All of those metrics is what I'm referring to as far as what it was a success for me.
Perfect. Yep. And we're going to dig into all those details. And this was a charity event for Extra Life. So you raise money for a local hospital. You just want to mention
hmm
who you were fundraising for?
Yeah, I was raising money for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. They are local to me, and they are one of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals that Extra Life partners with.
Perfect. And I'll let you give just a little bit of an intro about who you are and what you do in general. And you can mention Twitch and sort of the community that you built there. And then we'll launch into how this whole project turned out.
Absolutely. So I'm Tipsy of Tipsy Gaming. I started streaming about a year ago, actually. I'm coming up on what is commonly referred to as my stream anniversary. And so we do have some plans for that, which should be fun. And basically what I do is over on Twitch platform, I play video games while streaming and chatting and hanging out with the community that has grown up around me.
Cool. And again, people can listen to our first interview. We dive into a lot of those details so people can learn your history and how you got into it and the growth of the channel and all those kinds of things. So when did you first get the idea for doing the marathon as a fundraiser?
I actually had that idea before I even started streaming. It was it was during my research and reconnaissance period as I was preparing to start streaming, and I was watching these other streamers, and they would have a streamathon or a subathon where they would typically stream for an extended period of time in hopes of getting additional growth and subscriptions from their viewers. And I had the crazy thought of, well, what if it was a literal marathon? What would that look like? And this organization, Extra Life, is one that I have been aware of for a long time now, but it's never worked out where I could actively participate in their fundraising game day. And this year, with the platform that I had developed, it just seemed to all make sense and fit together.
Okay. And now I want to get into like logistically what your
Mhm.
setup was. So when we met in Austin, you mentioned you were going to have like a standing desk treadmill situation and some other things. So how did that work out? What did the setup end up being? And can you talk about just acquiring and putting everything together, all the equipment and everything?
Sure. Yeah, so that is what ended up happening. I ordered a treadmill and I ordered a standing desk, and it probably would have been better to get them a little bit earlier in the process so that I had time to to do testing with them and to specifically test that entire process on stream to see how it went. But it actually worked out very well. I had to be very specific about the style and make sure that the standing desk didn't have any bars that would like clash against the or that would interfere with the treadmill, that there was space below it because some of them have that support bar underneath, and that there weren't handrails that were really high or wide on the treadmill. So I had to make sure that one fit around the other. And then I also got a green screen to put up behind me. And then I recorded in-game footage of just running through different areas of the game. And I played those on loop so that it looked like I was actually running through the game.
Okay, I was wondering about that. If so, you actually recorded it to get the background for that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And by the way, can people watch the recorded stream? Is that available?
Um, it's typically available on Twitch for 14 days. And so at this point, it's gone. But I do have plans to put together a highlight reel of the marathon. I actually meant to do that a long time ago, but I procrastinate.
Right, that's okay. Okay, so you got all the equipment together. You didn't have quite as much time to set up as you hoped. Anything that you would have done differently with the setup aside from getting everything sooner?
I think doing a test stream sooner, because part of it was I wanted to wait until shortly before the marathon happened so that I could really hype it up. But I think if I had done a test stream earlier, I would have realized the kind of pace that I could expect while I was gaming and talking. The talking was throughout the entire mileage is what really kind of limited how fast I could go, because I would just get so out of breath so quickly while I was doing all of that. And so that would have, I think, scaled my training a little bit so that I wouldn't have worried about training so hard, spending so much time on it, because it was a huge time investment to just train for the marathon.
Yeah, can you talk about your training plan and how long ago you started and your longest run and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started, I want to say around April, sometime around there. And this was the second marathon that I've done. So I had my initial training plan that I used and developed based on kind of how I train and run, and I'm not a runner. I actually hate running. Um, and so I used that first marathon training plan that I developed. I adapted it for this time frame. And so basically, throughout the week, I would have 3 running days. I would have a short, a medium, and a long run. And then they would, over time, gradually increase. And then there were periods where you would get a really long run and then drop it down for a recovery after that. I never got to a really long run in as far as it actually worked out, which ended up being fine in the long run, ironically enough. uh, and so I feel I would have benefited from getting up to a 20 or 22-mile run. But what I did do, I think the longest run I did was, I think actually I did get up to 20, or it was between 16 and 20 for sure, towards the end there. So I got up there, but I think it would have been better to get up there earlier than I did.
Did you run very much during the actual live stream, or was it mostly just a walking pace?
No, it was mostly a walking pace. I had plans going into it that while I was gaming, if I was, for instance, traveling in the game. So if I was flying from one point to another, I didn't have to worry about the controls at all. I just let the game handle that. And so going into it, my plan had been to that anytime that was the case, I would amp up the speed. And so that, I think it only happened once or twice, because some of the milestones were, once I hit certain fundraised amounts, then it would trigger different things to happen in the game. Either I would switch what I was playing, or I would switch to a different game. And so those periods of sprints didn't happen as often as I had anticipated.
Gotcha. And how long did it take you from start to finish, by the way?
Start to finish, it was just under 9 hours, which was fairly long for a marathon, but considering my pace and that it was for a charity fundraising event, that was about what I had anticipated, actually. Um, if I hadn't had all those other factors influencing, could I have run faster? Probably.
Right.
But I was very happy with how it all went.
And I remember you said you just wanted to finish it. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the main thing.
Correct.
And going back to my point, so you didn't run too much during the actual live event. During your training, were you, I expect you were running then because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise it would just take for fucking ever to finish like a
Yeah.
20-mile run walk situation. So you ran for those.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. My typical pace during training is probably around uh average about 12 minutes per mile, depending on the distance I'm going. The longer the distance, the slower my pace
Sure.
overall, because I'll have periods of, yes, I can make it through this part, and then I have to walk for a bit and recover.
And we're a few weeks past the run and everything. Are you continuing to keep the cardio up, or what have you done as you've yeah, basically you're done training. So what are you doing now?
Well, I'm not running, that's for sure, because I hate it. But I did actually, about a month ago, a little over a month ago, my channel hit 500 followers. And that was a big milestone. And so for it, as we were getting closer, I told people that once it was hit, I would I would put together a special YouTube video. And I didn't tell anyone what it was, but it was something that I had kind of been mulling around in my head for a little bit. And so that just came out a couple days ago, actually, just on Sunday, or yeah, so 2 days ago, three days ago, uh, and it's a World of Warcraft workout video. So I took the snippets from the character dances in game and I converted them over to exercise routines.
Okay.
So that is kind of what I've been working on as far as, continued athleticism.
All right. And has that been done before, or was that an idea you came up with on
Not to
your
my
own?
knowledge. I
Okay.
don't think anyone has done that before.
It's pretty unique. All right, yeah, I'll link up so people can check that out, of course. And yeah, that sounds interesting. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second. All right, what went well for this whole project, and you could expand on this and go on tangents if you want.
I think the biggest thing is how much money we raised for through Extra Life for the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. It being my first ever time participating in Extra Life, my first ever charity stream, I started off with a modest goal of raising $500. And I had planned on personally matching the first 100 of that. We quickly blew that out of the water in the first couple hours of the stream, I want to say, maybe even less than that. I'm not sure. And so after that, I raised the goal to 1,000, and I had planned all of these stretch goals if they were unlocked, so that there would be continuous kind of milestones to reach and incentives for people to contribute. And then we hit the 15 or the $1,000 fundraising mark, and so I increased it again to 1,500, and by the end we raised $1,730 for Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. So that, I think, is the far and away best thing to come out of this.
Awesome. And the initial goal was $500. Is what you said.
Correct.
Congrats. Pretty amazing.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And what do you think contributed to like exceeding the goal so much? Any ideas?
I think there was, that's a good question. I tried to have good individual incentives for people, and then also good overall milestones. So each person who donated would get something. And if you donated more, then you got different, kind of perks for as a thank you for doing that. And then also if they wanted to, unlock a cosplay stream or me playing a scary game, because I'm terrible at those. I don't know that those really meant as much, or just the community wanting to be involved and contribute and help this fantastic cause.
Got it. Yeah. Tough, tough to answer that, right? You'll never really know exactly why,
Mm-hmm.
but I think those are probably good things. And can you talk about the incentives, like specifically some of the things and the other milestones along the way? So yeah, what
Mm-hmm.
was it like that day?
Yeah, so that day I had my little spreadsheet that I printed out so that I could keep track of where we were. But one of the things, the smallest thing was a couple of the small things. So the individual small thing was everybody who donated, no matter how much, got to pick a song to put towards a community playlist. And so I'm still waiting to get a couple of those, but that's being put together and it will be posted on my Discord. And then also every $50 cumulatively raised, I would say a exercise or running themed pun or joke that I had prepared because the bad pun husky is my spirit animal and my community is very aware that that's what they sign up for when they hang out with me.
There's a lot of
But
puns.
beyond
Yeah.
those, yes, exactly, there are. But beyond that, then at $10, they would get their name on the screen. At $50, I would read off a recipe from a World of Warcraft cookbook. And then at $100, they became a VIP in the channel. And then also, if they wanted to give me their address, then I'll mail them a postcard of gratitude. And so that that tier, I really wanted them to have both a digital and physical way to thank them, because some people were just coming in to donate and don't really hang out in Twitch. And then also some people don't want to give out their address, which is completely understandable. And so I wanted to have both options available for that. As far
Perfect.
as the uh, overall milestones, because I was limited the day of on what I could do, because I was doing the marathon at the same time, I couldn't do other things like a pie to my face as some streamers do, or change into crazy costumes, stuff like that. It was a lot of unlocking what games we would play, and many of them were games that I could play with the viewers and the community, as well as special streams in the future, like I mentioned, cosplay and scary scary game day. And then I'm also going to be doing a cooking stream coming up, which I've never done before, so that should be adventurous. And then I also had a follow-up stream the day after, which was at my normal time, and that had different things like raffling off items that we had unlocked, eating bugs and drinking crazy things and hot sauces, all that fun things. Once I, was not completing 26.2 miles.
Right. And for the people that are listening, by the way, and not watching on YouTube, Tipsy's drinking a beer. So thanks. It fits with your branding. What are you
Thank you.
drinking?
I'm currently drinking Cali Creamin from Mother Earth Brewing Company. It's local to Southern California. It's one of my all-time favorites.
And it's earlier in the day here. It's actually earlier there where you are. So I commend
Mm-hmm.
you for having a drink there. I'm working out later. Otherwise, I would be drinking with you as well. So sorry I didn't tell you beforehand. But
That's okay. Good for you. Good for you for working out.
gotta do. So I'll have a beer afterwards. So
Exactly.
back on topic. Were there any things that didn't go as planned or little snafus along the way? Anything not go well?
Um, if anything, I feel like I planned too many milestones almost, because there would be periods where we would unlock playing a game or playing as a certain role inside of the game, and we would almost immediately unlock the next one before that had even concluded. And so I think in my efforts to deliver as much as I could, I feel like I almost overpromised on that. And so I don't think anyone really had a bad time. I think everyone enjoyed what did happen, but we did kind of speed through a lot of those milestones that I thought might take longer throughout that 9-hour period.
Is that something that you could have adjusted on the fly and say, hey, forget it, we're going too fast, I need to cut some things out? Or I guess the way the milestones are, like, you kind of just have to keep going up the ladder, right?
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I that was another thing that I could have done better is I could have prepared an on-screen overlay showing what those milestones were and then also what the stretch goals were once they were unlocked. But in that week leading up to it, I just did not get that completed in time. And so that is something that I was adding on the fly. So could I have? Probably, since I was adding it, as it happened. but that probably would have taken more brain power than I could spend at that moment.
Makes sense. And during the live stream, were you and any points where you were like, I'm so tired or I'm lightheaded, or any sort of panic moments like during the whole 9 hours?
No, actually, surprisingly enough. And I think that is attributed to how well I prepared for the day. I had tons of water, I had tons of sports drinks, I had bananas, I had protein bars, and I made sure to break and hydrate and refuel before I felt like I needed to. And there was I think there was one period where we were unlocking, just like there were donations coming in, and so I had said a little bit ago I need to go get a protein bar, and then it was donation after donation after donation, and then somebody in chat reminded me because I had forgotten at that point. They're like, hey, you need to go get a protein bar. And so they were watching out for me as well, which I absolutely appreciated. And they were all very understanding that I would periodically pause to step away and to drink and to eat and all of that. So it was wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, all that preparation definitely pays off. And like you said, if you drink or eat, like, by the time you're hungry or thirsty, like, you're probably going down a route where you're not going to be able to catch up, especially if
Mhm.
you're active the whole time. So, okay, very cool. How many people were on the stream total? Like, can you share some
Ooh.
metrics, or at one time, like how the max number of people all at once?
That's a really good question. I know that it was pretty active. I feel like we got what's called raided, which is when another streamer is ending their stream, they will raid another somebody else. And so everyone that was viewing that streamer comes over and joins this new streamer. And so very early on, we got a large raid of about 90 people from a much larger streamer than myself, which was fantastic. And I think that a lot of them stuck around, which definitely helped to boost the numbers. And so that, I think, helped kind of push it to the top of recommendations for people that were just kind of browsing.
Okay.
But as far as actual numbers, the average viewers for that stream was 42. The number of unique viewers was 309. And then the max viewers were 73. So
Awesome. Very cool. And do those numbers line up with kind of what you expected, or thinking back, like, are you surprised to see those stats where they are?
actually, I don't think I had any expectations as far as numbers that I can really think of. I knew that the my crew that I'm associated with would be there supporting me, and that I could expect to see the regulars there, one person in particular touched my heart. They requested the day off of work. They took the day off of work so that they could be there for this event, and they were there the whole time. And just the fact that they would do that meant so much.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool of them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I popped in a couple times during the day, and yeah, some people were on the whole time, which is quite a commitment. Quite a
It is.
commitment overall.
It is. And my moderators were huge, a huge, huge support throughout that, and just really helped to manage everything throughout the day. I can't imagine doing it without them.
Yeah. How many moderators did you have helping?
Um, I have about 5 moderators in total. And then a couple of them, one in particular is basically my right hand, and she is incredible. She helped to um, when the scary game was unlocked, she started up the game so that I could easily just join her game that she created, so that I didn't have to worry about starting it on my own and then switching streaming, what I was doing, and all of that. So she was an incredible asset.
Very cool. Okay, let's talk a little about the cooking stream that was unlocked. So you haven't done a cooking stream before. Can you?
Mhm.
What are you thinking you're going to do? How do you envision it? How do these usually go anyway?
Absolutely. It's other people. It almost ends up being a little more casual because it's it's so unpredictable. You're streaming and cooking at the same time and trying to engage your viewers and chat with them as you normally do, but you also need to make sure that you're not burning anything. And so, being a World of Warcraft player, I will be cooking recipes from the 2 World of Warcraft cookbooks that have been released. And so I plan to have a couple of cocktails. I'll start with one, and then probably about halfway through, I'll make the second one. And then I'm thinking one savory and then one sweet dish. And so I have those fairly narrowed down at this point. Uh, and I'm I went through, of course, I went through the entire cookbook, and I picked, what sounds good, what can I do within, this expected time frame, what will not be, you know, I didn't want to have two recipes that were both requiring the oven. And so all of those factors to consider, how easily could I get the ingredients, all of that. So I think I have it fairly well selected. And so that's going to be happening on Friday, December 17th.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think this will be published prior to that, so people will be able to check that out if they want to.
Fun.
Very cool. All right, and I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I was going to ask you. There was one more thing, but I can't remember. But I'll kick it over to you. Maybe I'll remember
Mhm.
it. Any other like broad sort of ideas about this, or if someone's thinking, "Hey, I want to, take on like a similar type project where you have to plan ahead and maybe it's streaming online in some capacity like this." Just any broad thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think being realistic about the time that things are going to require is a big thing. I think mapping out, when it's going to happen to where you are now, and having specific deadlines and milestones of when you want to complete this task throughout the process. So it's not just it's very similar to the running training plan that I put together and did not entirely follow. Uh, just like that, anything that you have this project for, break it down into steps so that they are manageable and that you can build that sense of accomplishment as you tackle each one.
Perfect. I did remember what I was going to ask. So, of course, the goal of this was to raise money for charity, which you did.
Mhm.
Great.
Yep.
I'm curious if your channel grew very much as a result of doing the marathon and having people raid your channel and stuff like that.
Actually, it didn't. There were only, because I still have the numbers up, there were only 3 followers gained that day. So surprisingly, there wasn't a bunch of additional followers. Maybe Maybe they came back and checked me out another time and decided to follow later. Maybe they decided I wasn't for them, which is fine. There's so many streamers out there and so many viewers that I feel it's very important that all of the viewers should find streamers that they can relate to and that they want to support. Um, because I know that I'm not for everyone. I hands down. I mean, if you don't like puns, you're not going to like my channel.
Very good. Yeah, and there are I had not checked out Twitch prior to meeting you. So when I hopped over there, I was like, "Oh, wow, there's a lot of stuff over here. There's some odd stuff on Twitch. If people haven't checked it out, there's some weird corners of the internet that are located on Twitch."
This is accurate.
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, there's whatever you're into, it's probably on Twitch in some capacity. Tipsy, where can people find you?
People can predominantly find me over on Twitch at Tipsy Gaming. I have also gotten minusculely better at Twitter. I'm working on that one. Those are the main places. I do also have my YouTube channel that was mentioned earlier, and so feel free to check out any of those videos. They are World of Warcraft, focused, but those are the places that you can find me.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks a lot. Always good to get an update from you, and we'll talk soon.
Fantastic. Have a great day.